Yeah, very good morning, everyone. How are you all? Everyone fine as well as safe. Am I right? First, can you inform me whether I am audible or not? Whether my voice is audible or not, can you respond so that we can start? Many of you have joined. Rani Sharma, good morning. Sunil, good morning. Sai Ramesh, good morning. Varun, good morning. Krishna, I think Swati, I am just finding out everyone. IUC, very good morning. Yeah, is it audible? Now, everyone, we are here to discuss the amendment related to CA final financial reporting paper, which will be applicable for May 2022 attempt. May 22 attempt, correct? Means May 22 and onward attempt we can say. So even though you are writing your exam for onward attempt is November etc., then also this amendment will be applicable for you all. Now from examination point of view, there are three major amendments. The first amendment which I will say is chapter number 1 as per my book, chapter number 1, that is conceptual framework for financial reporting under Ind AS. Previously, there used to be one chapter framework for the preparation and presentation of financial statement under Ind accounting standard. Now that chapter is totally removed and I will say revised, and now that chapter become conceptual framework for financial reporting under Indian accounting standard. Now for this already amendment video means this chapter is already included in our amendment video in YouTube. So you can find out a link of the video for this amendment chapter in the description of the video, or you can find out in the playlist. I will give the link in the description of the this video about this chapter. I hope you have already listened the this chapter from my YouTube channel, correct? So this chapter already has been discussed. So today we are not discussing anything about this chapter, correct? Now this, as per this chapter is concerned, this is, I want to just inform you that this chapter is very basic chapter. Even though you just read the chapter, you will be able to understand. So if you don't have time, so you can read the entire chapter by your own. You will be able to understand. Nothing to worry about this chapter. Got it? Now whether question will come or will not come, that I don't know. Correct now. But any amendment chapter, any chapter which is amended is always important from examination point of view, that you all know, correct? Now second amendment which will be discussed in today's lecture is the amendment to schedule 3 of Companies Act, that is division 2 of schedule 3. Of course there is some amendment division 1 also, but as we all know that division 1 is not in CA final syllabus, therefore we are not discussing right now any amendment related to division 1 of schedule 3. We will be discussing all those amendments which are related to division 2 of schedule 3 of Companies Act. Got it? Now there are some amendments which are in this division 2 of schedule 3 which are very important from examination point of view, and this amendment will be important for one of the chapter. That chapter you might be knowing, that analysis of financial statement. Remember that chapter, analysis of financial statement? Normally in exam they give a 10 marks question from that chapter, minimum 10 marks question. In that chapter they will give you incorrect balance sheet, incorrect balance sheet, and that balance sheet need to be corrected as per the requirement of Ind AS and as per the requirement of Schedule 3 of Companies Act. So all these amendments might be asked in that, might be asked for any question related to that chapter. So what are that amendment we need to refer right now? Understood? Normally this amendment is because of amendment in Caro. So because Caro is amended to reflect the all the amendment whatever has been done in Caro, the Schedule 3 Division 2 is also amended. Got it? Let us discuss one by one each amendment. Got it? Yes, I will also take CA inter amendment, don't worry. Today let me take CA final amendment. I'll come with CA inter amendment also, don't worry about that. So what are the amendment which is related to Schedule 3 of Division 2? The first point is for promoters shareholding. Now we'll just discuss what was given in existing requirement, means as per the previous Schedule 3 Division 2, and what is the amendment. So existing requirement, there was no such requirement to give the disclosure about promoter shareholding, means as per means as per existing requirement, means before amendment there was no disclosure requirement for promoter shareholdings, but now as per the amendment under Schedule 3, what they want, a company shall disclose the shareholdings of promoter. Shareholdings of promoter. You all know what is the meaning of promoter. If you don't know, so what clarification has been given? Promoter means promoter as defined under Companies Act. So you all know about Companies Act. Go and refer the definition of promoter there. I am not right now explaining the meaning of promoter. You all know who are the promoter. Correct? So we need to disclose the shares held by the promoter at the end of the year. So what are the shares? Number of shares held by each and every promoters need to be disclosed, whatever they held at the end of the year. So we need to write down promoter's name, number of shares held at the end of the year, percentage of total shares, what is the percentage of total shares they are holding, and percentage change during the year, means any percentage change during the year, means opening balance, closing balance, whatever the percentage change there, that we need to also disclose. So this is first amendment. However, I don't know whether this type of information will be important from examination point of view or not, because even though it is an amendment, whether this will be asked in exam or will not be asked, that I don't know. Correct. But this is one amendment. I hope you have understood. Second amendment is related to statement of changes in equity. Statement of changes in equity. If you remember, we used to draw statement of changes in equity two parts, A and B. In A, we used to write down equity share capital. In B, we used to write down other equity. Correct. Now, previously under A, we used to write down what is the opening balance, means what is the balance at the beginning of the year, then changes, and then closing balance, means balance at the end of the year. Only this much. Correct? But as per the requirement of Ind AS, any changes due to restatement due to restatement of correct means due to restatement of the item in the financial statement due to correction of error need to be also stated as per Ind AS 30th. Because of that reason, some amendments were required. So now what they said, for equity share capital, now additionally following disclosures are required. Changes in equity share capital due to prior period error. So due to prior period error, can I say a retrospective restatement is required? So that was not given in point number A. It was given in point number B, but it was not given in point number A. So now what they are saying, if first you write down opening balance, then you write down any changes due to prior period error. Then first calculate restated balance at the beginning of the year, and then what are the changes during the year, and that will become closing balance. Understood? So they have just informed you that they have just added that these two column will be added. So what is the first column? Changes in equity share capital due to prior period error. and the restated balance at the beginning of current reporting period. Understood? This changes was done as per the requirement of Ind AS 8. However, same thing was given in point number B. Point number B is this: for other equity it was already mentioned, but for A it was not mentioned. Got it? Understood? This changes understood? Correct. So this might be an important change. However, can I say even though it was not given as per the existing requirement, but even though if we apply Ind AS 8, so automatically it will be covered. Automatically it will be covered, but now it is mentioned in division 2 of schedule 3. Got it? Then point number 3, this is very important from examination point of view. Trade receivable. Trade receivable. So as per existing requirement, means before amendment, right now, means before amendment, trade receivable are subclassified as only considered good and secured, consider good and unsecured, and then trade receivable which have significant increase in credit risk and trade receivable credit impaired. I hope you remember this. As per the existing requirement, means before amendment, we used to classify trade receivable as consider good secured, consider good unsecured, trade receivable which have significant increase in credit risk, and trade receivable which are credit impaired. Got it? But now, as per amendment requirement, as per amendment, now they have also asked you to give the aging schedule, which will be as under. So now, as per amendment, they want aging schedule. Means we need to give the age of trade receivable, aging schedule, and that will be given for undisputed trade receivable considered good. Means now we need to also classify trade receivable into undisputed and disputed. Undisputed and disputed. You can see undisputed trade receivable consider good, undisputed trade receivable which have significant increase in credit risk, undisputed trade receivable credit impaired, then disputed trade receivable consider good, disputed trade receivable which have significant increase in credit risk, disputed trade receivable credit impaired. Understood this point? So it now they have also said that now trade receivable will be also categorized into undisputed and disputed. Undisputed receivable consider good, undisputed receivable which have significant increase in credit risk, undisputed trade receivable credit impaired, then disputed. Understood? And then we need to give aging, means outstanding for the following period from the due date of payment. Means what is the outstanding period? And outstanding period will be calculated from the due date of payment. From the due date of payment, the outstanding for the following period from the due date of payment. So less than 6 months, less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, then 1 year to 2 year, then 2 year to 3 year, and then more than 3 year, then total. Understood? It means we need to classify it based on the aging. So aging is what? Less than 6 months, then 6 months to 1 year, then 1 year to 2 year, then 2 year to 3 year, and then more than 3 year. Understood? This aging schedule may be asked in exam, may be asked in exam. Important. This is important. Correct? Got it? Now, there is one clarification given that if no due date of payment is specified in the contract, it might happen there are some contract in which due date of payment is not specified. Then what they said, disclosure shall be given from the date of transaction. Then date of payment will be as means date of transaction will be assumed to be the date of payment. Date of transaction will be assumed to be the date of payment. Understood? In this case, I hope you have understood this. So this is one important amendment from examination point of which I feel they may ask in exam in analysis of financial statement chapter. Can you repeat with me? So now we need to give aging schedule, and we'll divide the trade receivable in two parts, undisputed and disputed, and then it will be classified as undisputed trade receivable consider good, undisputed trade receivable which have significant increase in credit risk, undisputed trade receivable which are credit impaired. Similar for disputed trade receivable, aging will be given for less than 6 months, 6 months to 1 year, 1 year to 2 year, 2 year to 3 year, more than 3 year, then total. Got it? Yes, sir. Then other financial asset. This is also one important amendment which is important from examination point of view. Now, as per the previous requirement, I should not say existing requirement, because when I will say existing you will be confused. So as per the previous requirement, now I will say as per the previous requirement. Okay, so as per the previous requirement, we used to disclose security deposit under the head loan. Means if you remember, under financial asset we used to write down investment, then we used to write down trade receivable, then loan, and then other financial asset. So as per the previous requirement, they are saying, sir, where to show debtor within due date. Means no, this is the outstanding from the due date of payment. This aging schedule has been given for the outstanding for the from the due date of payment. Understood now? Correct? So where to show debtor within due date? Acha, they are saying within due date means till now due date has not came. Suppose this is the due date. So this is the date of payment. Date of payment. Correct? So we are calculating this outstanding from this date. Now if the due date has not, means if this due date has not came, then of course you can make one more column that is not given in this aging schedule, that you can give if you want to give. Are you able to understand? Yes sir. Yes sir. Then coming to point number 4, just try to understand what they want to say. Key, as per previous requirement, the security deposit was required to disclose under loan. Means we used to disclose under loan security deposit, but now as per the amendment, this security deposit will be shown under other financial asset. Why? Because can a security deposit is actually not a loan. So there was some I will say there was some doubt in the industry ki why deposit are shown in loan. So one amendment has came ki now security deposit will be shown under other financial asset. Correct? Yes sir. So now, as per the amendment requirement, the amendment requires that other financial assets shall include other financial asset. Means the deposit will be shown under other financial asset. Other financial asset means it can be current, it can be non-current. Because can I say it can be non-current, it can be current, depending upon the situation. Correct? Yes, sir. But any deposit will be shown under other financial asset. Any security deposit will be shown under other financial asset. So what they said, other financial assets shall include security deposit, then bank deposit with more than 12-month maturity. Means for this there is no amendment. Bank deposit with more than 12-month maturity. Previously also we used to show under other financial asset also. Means any fixed deposit with more than 12-month maturity. Previously also we used to show under other financial asset, now also will be shown under other financial asset, and other to be specified. Means now other, now it means just try to understand. So it will be shown under other financial asset. This should be correct. Have you understood this point? Correct. So can now deposit will not be shown under the loan. The security deposit will be shown under other financial asset. This is one amendment. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Coming to the next point, loans and advance. Loans and advance. Now, whether it is loan or advance, it can be loan as well as advance. So, Schedule 3, previous requirement, Schedule 3 required disclosure of loan to related party and advances to related parties separately. Means we used to disclose loan to related parties separately, advances to related parties separately. Understood? Correct? But now, as per amended requirement, now what they are saying, that any loans and advance which are in the nature of loan granted to promoter, if the loan is granted to promoter or director or key management personnel or any other related party as defined under Companies Act, either severally or jointly with any other person that are repayable on demand or without specifying any terms of period or repayment with any loans and demand of whatever nature. If that loan has been granted to promoter, directors, key management person or any other related party, then we will disclose this type of the borrower, promoter, directors, KMP, related party, amount of loan or advance in the nature of loan outstanding means what is the amount of loan outstanding, and the percentage of total loan advance in the nature of loan. What is the percentage of loan outstanding that needs to be also disclosed. So this now need to be disclosed in as this table. So previously we used to only disclose the loan given to related party and advance given to related party, but now this information is also required to be disclosed. I don't know whether this will be important from examination point of view or not, but it is one amendment. Got it? Yes, sir. Then point number 6, revaluation of property, plant and equipment and intangible assets. As per previous requirement, I hope you remember that we need to give a reconciliation of gross and net carrying amount of each class of asset at the beginning and at the end of reporting period, showing any addition, disposal, acquisition through business combination and other adjustment and related depreciation and impairment loss or any impairment loss reversal means a reconciliation of gross carrying amount and net carrying amount at the beginning and at the end of the year need to be provided. We have discussed this. In this case, there was one item which was missing, that any reconciliation which is required due to revaluation of assets. Can I say as per India 16, as per India 38, revaluation model can be also applied whenever there is a revaluation. So can I say gross carrying amount will change due to revaluation, but it was not given in this disclosure. So that point I think it was by mistake omitted, which is now included in the disclosure. So what now they want to say that upon revaluation of PP and intangible asset, company in addition to above item of reconciliation is required to make disclosure with respect to amount of changes due to revaluation, but if the changes is 10% more in the aggregate of the net carrying amount of each class of PP and intangible assets, means due to revaluation if the changes is 10% or more in the aggregate of the net carrying amount, then revaluation need to be disclosed, means the changes due to revaluation need to be disclosed separately, means we need to give a reconciliation for that revaluation also. Got it? Yes, sir. Correct? Means simple, opening balance plus addition plus any upward revaluation that need to be also given minus any downward revaluation that need to be also given. Got it? Yes, sir. Further, they have also asked you to disclose whether the revaluation is based on the valuation by registered valuer as defined under Rule 2 of Companies Registered Valuers and Valuation Rules 2017. Means as per the Rule 2 of this company rules, they have defined who are the registered valuers. So whether that valuation means the fair value has been defined as per registered valuer which has been defined under company's rules, that need to be also disclosed. However, India 16, India 38 says that the valuation means fair value should be determined by any independent valuer which has some specified qualification. So as per India 16, as per India 38, we used to disclose that point, but it was not mentioned under Schedule 3 Division 2. So now this point has been added. We need to also disclose that whether the valuation has been done by registered valuer as defined under company's rules. Understood? Yes, sir. The similar information has been added for the fair value of investment property. We all know that as per India's 40, we apply only cost model. Correct? However, as per India's 40, we disclose fair value of such property. Now, what is the amended requirement that if the fair value need to be disclosed, whether that fair value has been measured by the registered valuer as defined under company rules, that need to be also disclosed. So what they are saying, as per existing requirement, this in Schedule 3 there was no disclosure requirement on whether the fair value of investment property is based on the valuation by registered valuer or not. However, India's 40 has given a disclosure that whenever fair value is required to disclose, means we need to disclose fair value of investment property. So we need to also disclose that whether it has been determined by the qualified valuer or not, independent valuer having a specified qualified or not. That is required as per India's 40. But Now, as per amended requirement under Schedule 3 Division 2, they have added that companies are required to disclose whether the fair value of investment property is based on the valuation by registered valuer as defined in the Rule 2 of Companies Rule 2017. Got it? Correct. Now, I don't know whether this is important from examination point of view or not, because normally this type of disclosure they don't ask in exam. Correct now. So I don't know whether these are important. Point number 6 and point number 7 is important or not important, that I know. Don't know. So wherever it is important, I'm mentioning important. Wherever it is not important, I'm not mentioning anything because it may be asked also. Correct? Yes, sir. Then coming to trade payable. Trade payable, of course, an important amendment is there. Trade payable, there is one important amendment. As per previous requirement, we need to only disclose the trade payable into two part, means into two part. What is the amount due of micro enterprise and small enterprise, means SME, and other enterprise, means we need to only disclose the amount, means under trade payable we used to disclose amount due to MSME, amount due to other party, only this much, but no aging was given. Now, as per amendment requirement, they say that for trade payable due for payment, following aging schedules shall be given. You can see particular amount due to MSME, amount due to others, outstanding for the following period from the due date of payment less than 1 year. Now it is less than 1 year, 6 months not criteria, less than 1 year, 1 year to 2 year, 2 year to 3 year, more than 3 year. Understood? So here less than 1 year, starting from less than 1 year, 1 year, 2 years, 2 year to 3 years, more than 3 years, and total. Got it? Have you understood? So this is also important from examination point of view. They may give this type of information which require disclosure in that chapter, analysis of financial statement. So this might be an important, because this is one amendment, they may ask this type of disclosure. So what is the amendment? You need to prepare one table. They will write on trade payable due to MSME, due to others, then outstanding for the following period from the due date of payment less than 1 year, 1 year to 2 year, 2 year to 3 year, and more than 3 year, then total. Got it? Yes, sir. This also you have understood. Correct. Of course, here also MSME, others, and then also disputed dues and disputed dues to others. This also required disclose, means it is undisputed. Undisputed. This is also undisputed. Okay. So undisputed MSME, undisputed others, then disputed dues MSME, disputed dues others. Correct. Got it? Yes, sir. This also you have understood. Now, point number 9. This is the very important, because this is required for some other chapters also. In financial instrument chapter, the previous requirement was different. Now the requirement has been changed. So if you have taken class from me and from any other faculty, so we used to disclose current maturities of long-term borrowing. Current maturities from long-term borrowing we used to disclose under other financial liability, if you remember. Correct? So as per previous requirement, we used to disclose current maturities of long-term borrowing under what? Under current liability, but under current liability, under other financial liability. Understood? Means suppose there is some borrowing, and the amount due was 10 lakh. So we used to find out what is the current maturities. Current maturities means what is payable within 12 months. Suppose 1 lakh. So what is long-term maturities? It become 9 lakh. So this we used to disclose under borrowing. Borrowing under what? Borrowing under financial liability, under non-current liability. Correct? And this we used to disclose where? This we used to disclose where? Under other financial liability, under current liability. Correct? Then I used to say, I also don't know why they have said other financial liability. That I have said in the class that I don't understand why it is under financial liability. But now they have amended. Now it will not be disclosed under other financial liability. It will be shown under borrowing only. Borrowing, but short-term borrowing. Short-term borrowing is under current liability. Whatever borrowing we mentioned, that becomes short-term borrowing. Correct. So this is one amendment which is very important from examination point of view. So now current maturities of long-term borrowing shall be disclosed under short-term borrowing separately, namely current maturities of long-term borrowing. So previously we used to disclose current maturities of long-term borrowing, current maturities of long-term borrowing where under other financial liability, but now we'll disclose under short-term borrowing under financial liability. Got it? Have you understood this point? Bolo. Have you understood this point? Any doubt about this? Correct. This is one important amendment which will be important from examination point of view. Got it? Yes, sir. Then lease liability. This is also important. Means whenever you are doing Ind AS 116, so of course for that we used to disclose lease liability. But as per previous requirement, there was nothing was given under the face on the face of balance sheet. Therefore, what we used to do, if for lease liability, we used to calculate two parts: how much current portion and how much non-current portion. This non-current portion we used to disclose under long-term borrowing under financial liability, and current portion we used to disclose under other financial liability, as same thing whatever we used to do for borrowing. But now here also, this current portion will be shown under current liability, this non-current portion will be shown under non-current liability, but a specific heading, a specific line item has been added on the face of balance sheet. Means now if I want to disclose, just try to understand. If I inform you about the format, coming to the format, you can see now this is equity and liability. So now they have added financial liability, they have added one line item after borrowing. You can see financial liability, then borrowing, then lease liability, then trade payable. Previously it was borrowing, then trade payable. Now one line item has been added after borrowing under financial liability, both under current and non-current. Understood? So financial liability, borrowing, lease liability. So this will be write on long-term portion, means long-term borrowing, means long-term maturities. And under current liability, you can see financial liability, borrowing, lease liability. This will be current maturities of finance lease obligations. Got it? Have you understood this point? This point have you understood? Yes, sir. So this is also important. I hope you have understood this point. Correct. So this is also important, lease liability. So now this lease liability will be shown on the face of balance sheet. What I am saying, on the face of balance sheet directly. Correct? On the face of balance sheet, we write on non-current liability, we write on current liability. Under non-current liability, we write on financial liability. Here also we write on financial liability. Under financial liability, first we write on borrowing. Here also we write on first borrowing. This is long-term borrowing, this is short-term borrowing. Then we write on lease liability, then we write on lease liability. Understood? Got it? Yes, sir. Then details of benami property held. So what is the meaning of benami property? Do you know about benami property? Without any name. We suppose we purchase any property in the name of other party, not in our name, in the name of other party. Normally we purchase some property but not in our name. We purchase property in the name of other party. Correct? Now that is known as benami property. Correct? Or it might happen if we purchase some property in our name but the amount is paid by some other party. It is understood. So it is bought with benami property. What is the meaning of benami property? Benami property is bought by a person in the name of another person. What is the meaning of benami property? It is purchased by a person in the name of other person. Normally it happens, I have purchased one property in the name of my wife, in the name of my father, in the name of my brother. That become benami property. Understood? Correct? In the name of other person. In the name of other person. So purchased by a party in the name of other party. That is known as benami property. So previously there was no disclosure was required for benami property held, but now when any proceeding has been initiated or pending against the company for holding any benami property under the Benami Transaction Provision Act and the rules made thereunder, the company shall disclose the following. However, I don't know whether this is important from examination point of view or not, because this type of information might not be given in the examination question. Correct? But if given, we should write down details of such property, amount thereof, detail of any beneficiary. If property is in the books, then reference to the item in the balance sheet. Means if you are holding such property in the name of other party, then it is in our books. If the property is not in the books, means some other party has purchased the property in our name. It is quite possible, yes sir. Then the fact shall be stated with reason. Correct? Now nature of proceeding, status of same, company's views on the same, these are the some information which is required to be disclosed. which is required to be disclosed. Got it? This also you have understood? Any doubt? Benami property held, you understood? Yes, sir. Then point number 12, relationship with struck of companies. What is the meaning of struck of companies? Any company whose name has been removed from register of companies, that is known as what? Struck of companies. So previously, as per previous requirement, there was no such disclosure required with the relationship with struck of companies. But now, when the company has any transaction with a company struck off, under Section 248 of Companies Act or Section 560 of Companies Act, the company shall disclose the following details. Means any transaction, if the company has any transaction with the stock of company, then following disclosures are required. Name of stock of company, nature of transaction with such company, balance outstanding, relationship with the stock of companies. Relationship means that stock of companies, associate, joint venture, or whatever that need to be disclosed. Nature of transaction, investment, receivable, payable, that need to be also disclosed. Now I don't know whether this is important or not important, but it's one amendment which is required to be done. Got it? Yes, sir. Then point number 13, capital WIP and intangible asset under development. As per previous requirement, there was no disclosure to be given for capital WIP and intangible asset under development. But now, for capital WIP and intangible asset under development, following aging schedule is required to be given. Following aging schedule is required to be given. Means we need to find out any capital WIP or intangible asset under development. So we need to divide this into two categories: project, any project which are in progress, any project which are temporarily suspended. Means it might happen there are some capital WIP for which development has been suspended. There may be some capital WIP or intangible asset under development which are under progress, So we need to categorize in two categories: project which are in progress and project which are temporarily suspended. Then amount of capital WIP for a period of less than 1 year, 1 year to 2 years, 2 years to 3 years, or more than 3 years. This need to be disclosed. Got it? Simple. But in this, one more disclosure is required for any capital WIP or intangible asset under development whose completion is overdue. Means whose completion is overdue. Suppose you plan that it will be completed in 3 years, but it is not yet completed. Means it is overdue. Whose completion is overdue or has exceeded its cost compared to its original plan, or where the cost of where the total cost is exceeded as planned. So following disclosures will be required. Following completion schedule shall be given. Understood? Correct? So this is required for any project which are overdue, whose completion is overdue, or whose expenses will be more than as whose total estimated cost is more as planned. Understood? Yes, sir. So in that case, we need to disclose project 1, project 2, project 3, like this. To become, and we need to write on to be completed in, means when you are supposed to complete it, means it will be an expected time to be completed in less than 1 year, 1 year to 2 year, 2 year to 3 year, more than 3 year. That information is disclosed. I don't know whether this disclosure is important or not important. Not important, but normally this type of question they don't ask in exam. Correct? Yes, sir. Then title deed of immovable property not held in the name of the company. So any title deed, title deed of immovable property not held in the name of the company. It might happen it is held in the name of some other party, director, etc. So that require also disclosure. So what previously there was no such requirement, now there is a requirement to disclose the information about title deed of immovable property not held in the name of the company. So what they say, the company shall provide the details of all immovable property other than property where the company is the lessee and the lease agreement are duly executed in favor of lessee. Means other than when company is a lessee. Correct now. Means we need to ignore about the lease transaction whose title deed are not held in the name of the company in following format. Why this transaction? Because of course we are using ROU asset, but it is not easy. It will be in the name of lesser. So they said ignore these transactions. So company shall provide the details of all immovable property whose title deed are not held in the name of the company in the following format. Means we need to find out relevant line item in the balance sheet. Relevant line item means whether it is property, plant and equipment, or whether it is investment property, or whether it is what any other line item. Description of item of the property means whether it is land, building, that you need to mention. Gross carrying value, what is the gross carrying value? Title deed held in the name of person, which person, means it is held in the name of which person, that you need to disclose. Whether title deed holder is a promoter, director, or any relative of promoter, director, any employee of the promoter, director, that need to be disclosed. Property held since which date? The property is held in the name of company from which date, that we need to write down. Reason for not being held in the name of the company. Reason for not being held in the name of the company, the reason need to be given. So property held since which date, that we need to give reason for not being held in the name of the company. Sometimes what happens, there may be a genuine reason. We purchase in the name of director, but as per substance, that is the property used by the company. So as per accounting, that property will be disclosed in the balance sheet of what? As per accounting is as per India's applying substance over legal document, we disclose such property in the balance sheet of company. But as special disclosure is now required, the title deed of such property is not in the name of the company, is the name of some director. The name of director is required to be disclosed. Correct? Yes, sir. Got it? Yes, sir. This type of information is required. Then undisclosed income. Undisclosed income is what? Any income which is disclosed during the tax assessment. Means income under income tax act, we need to do, as means income tax officer will do assessment. So under that assessment, there might be some income which is disclosed, that become undisclosed income. So previously there was no requirement to disclose any undisclosed income, but now as per the amendment requirement, what they say, companies shall give the details of any transaction not recorded in the books of account that has been surrendered or disclosed as income during the year in the tax assessment under Income Tax Act. Understood? So any undisclosed income now require disclosure in financial statement. Understood? In the disclosure requirement. Got it? Undisclosed income? Yes, sir. Then grant or donation received. This is important. Grant or donation received. So can I say for any companies which any companies which are under Section 8 of Companies Act, with Section 8 companies, are you getting? They will receive grant, and can I say for them grant will be a revenue, means they, that will be their main income. So for that reason, for any Section 8 companies, grant will be disclosed under the head revenue from operations. So previously there was no such requirement, no such disclosure requirement under previous requirement, but now as per amendment, what they are saying, the Section 8 companies are required to make a new insertion in the schedule of revenue from operations for grant or donation received, because grant or donation received will be the income from ordinary activities. The income from ordinary activities for that companies will be revenue from operations. So they have, for that companies, grant or donation received will be considered as revenue from operations. For any other companies which are not Section 8 companies, for that grant or donation cannot be revenue from operations, that will disclose under other income. Understood? Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. Then CSR means CSR means corporate social responsibility. So of course, as per previous requirement, we used to disclose. Means in case of companies covered under Section 135 of Companies Act 2013, disclosure required for the amount of expenditure incurred on CSR activities. We used to disclose only the amount of expenditure required to done as per CSR activity. But now they require following disclosure. So the following shall be disclosed with regard to CSR activities. Point number one. This is point number one. There's some misprinting. Amount required to be spent by the company during the year. Amount required to be spent. So you know it is 2% uh, of the average profit. Yes, sir. So amount required to be spent. Amount of expenditure incurred. Shortfall at the end of the year. This disclosures are required. Total of previous year shortfall. Total of previous year shortfall. Reason of shortfall. Nature of CSR activities. Details of related party transaction. Correct now, where a provision is made with respect to a liability incurred by entering into a contractual obligation, that need to be also disclosed. Correct. This might be important because we have one chapter CSR. So this might be important, that you can add on. This might be important from examination point of view because we have one chapter, separate chapter, that is CSR. Got it? Have you understood this point? Batao. Have you understood this point? Yes, sir. We have understood. Then details of cryptocurrency and virtual currency. Now with this disclosure, one thing will come in your mind ki whether transaction which is in the nature of cryptocurrency, you all know about cryptocurrency or virtual currency, whether that is a legal transaction or it is not legal transaction as per Indian Act, correct? That is one doubt. But what they are saying as per the requirement of Schedule 3 revised requirement, what they are saying is now whenever company has traded or invested in cryptocurrency or virtual currency during the financial year, the following shall be disclosed. So of course previously there was no such requirement. This has been added. What we need to disclose: profit or loss on transaction involving cryptocurrency or virtual currency, amount of currency held as at reporting date, what is the value of currency held as on reporting date, that needs to be also disclosed, and details or advance from any person for the purpose of trading or investing in cryptocurrency or virtual currency, deposit or advance for from any person for the purpose of trading or investing in cryptocurrency or virtual currency, that need to be also disclosed. Got it? I don't know whether it is important. Of course, this type of question they will not ask in exam, correct? Now, this is important disclosure ratio. This might be important for that chapter analysis of financial statement because they may ask you to calculate ratio. So, as per previous requirement, no disclosure was required as per ratio is concerned. But now we are supposed to disclose current ratio, debt equity ratio, debt service coverage ratio, correct now? Return on equity ratio, inventory turnover ratio, trade receivable turnover ratio, trade payable turnover ratio, net capital turnover ratio, net profit ratio, return on capital employed, return on investment. Can you see? This all ratio you know from CA Inter only. So it might happen now in analysis of financial chapter. They may give you some of the information where you need to calculate this ratio and then you need to disclose it. Correct. Now, however, chances are very rare. Or I think they will give you the percentage. They will give you the ratios. Correct. Now, they will give you the ratio only to disclose it. Correct. Yes, sir. Then rounding off, rounding off. Now previously, whatever rounding off we used to do, means we used to do rounding off the amount in the financial statement. The rounding off was based on turnover. Means previously, as per previous requirement, depending upon turnover of the company, the figures appearing in the financial statement are required to be rounded off. But now this turnover is changed to total income, is now as per amendment depending upon total income of the company. When I say total income, it will include revenue from operation plus other income. The total income is revenue plus other income, revenue plus other income of the company. The figure appearing in the financial statement are required to be rounded up. Total income is the sum of revenue from operation and other income. Means if I just want to inform you, just try to understand. Previously, 1 minute, rounding off now. 1 minute. What I want to say, you can see rounding off. There was one criteria. Where is that? Yeah. You can see now, depending upon turnover of the company. This is an amend. This is the chapter which has been now amended by me. Correct. Total income of the company. The figures appearing in the financial statement shall be rounded off as below. Means if the total income is less than 100 crore rupees, rounding off will be to the nearest of 100, 1000, lakh, a million or decimal thereof. If the total income is 100 crore or more, then it will be rounding off to the nearest of lakh, million or crore or decimal thereof. Means you can see in the first case we can round off to the 100,000 also, but in case of 100 crore more, we can round off to the nearest of lakhs, million or crore. Means we cannot do rounding off to the 100 or 1000. Understood? This was one point. I hope you have understood this point. So these are all amendments which are important from examination point of view. Means there are some more important which I have not included. There are some more amendment, 2 or 3 more amendments which is totally not important from examination point of view that I am not discussing. These 2 or 3 I have left intentionally. I have left, but this might be asked in exam. This all amendment might be asked in exam, and out of that I have also given what is important, what is not important. Understood? Have you understood this all? Any doubt? Correct. So can I say as per May 2022 attempt, first chapter number 1 is conceptual framework is totally revised. Already a video has given on that. Now revise Schedule 3 Division 2 is already discussed. There is one more amendment which is important from examination point of view. The amendment is related to COVID-19 related rent concession. COVID-19 related rent concession. Correct. Now, in this, only one amendment is there. That is, you all know about COVID-19 related rent concession. This para is applicable only for lessee, not for lessor. In this case, there was one point that does the rent concession affect only lease payment originally due on or before 30th June 2021? Means when this amendment was came, then there was a viewpoint that then after 30th June 2021, there will be no lockdown. But now we have understood that this COVID-19 situation become one normal situation. So they have extended this period by 1 year. So now it becomes 30th June 2022. You can change it 30th June 2022. So this is small amendment. So in this COVID-19, I mean COVID-19 rent concession amendment, there is one more amendment. Is this period has been extended by 1 year. So we need to apply this condition by saying that whether the rent concession affect only lease payment original due originally due on or before 30th June 2022 now. Correct now. So if the rent concession affect only the lease payment which was due on or before 30th June 2022, if this condition is satisfied, then there is one practical experience available to what lessee means they are not supposed to apply modification accounting, if you remember. Have you understood this point? This is small amendment. There is one more amendment, but that is not important from examination point. That is not at all important from examination point of view. The amendment was actually for interest rate benchmark reform. Interest rate benchmark reform. I have not taken this as, I don't want to take this point as a discussion right now, but because you are going to become chartered accountant, you should know about this point. This is not at all important from examination point of view because this amendment is not included in ICAI revised study material for May 2022 attempt. So can I say due to COVID-19, there is an interest rate benchmark reform. Means can I say interest rate benchmark reform means there are many borrowing etc. or many these transactions which was actually based on some benchmark rate, for example, LIBOR rate, etc. So due to COVID-19, this there may be some reform in this interest benchmark. Correct now. So the question is that whether this will be considered as modification. Correct. For example, previously it was LIBOR plus 2%. Now LIBOR rate has been changed. Correct now. It is quite means there may be some interest rate benchmark means we have changed from LIBOR to some other benchmark reform, other interest rate benchmark reform. Correct, it might happen. Correct now. So the question is that whether it will be considered as modification. So one amendment is there. They are saying that this will not be considered as modification. Means whether it is a lease liability, whether it is a lease transaction, or whether it is a financial instrument transaction. Can I say in case of financial instrument transaction, there is a financial asset and financial liability. So there also we have done modification. There modification we have done two parts, where the modification terms are substantially different from original term or not, and then we to decide about extinguishment accounting or modification accounting. So what this amendment says that will not consider it as modification, will follow what our normal accounting. Understood? This is one amendment, but that this is totally not important from examination point of view. Therefore, this does not require any discussion because this institute has not given any question related to this. Got it. So these are few amendments which are very important. Once again, I will repeat, there are three major amendments as per May 2022 exam is concerned. One is chapter number 1, conceptual framework. Correct, conceptual framework for financial reporting under Ind accounting standard. Already a video has been uploaded that you can refer. Then schedule 3 division 2 amendment. This already we have discussed today. And there is one amendment for what? For in the chapter Ind AS 116 related to COVID-19 rent concession amendment. So that date has been extended by 1 year. 30th June 2021 has now become 30th June 2020. I hope you have understood. Now, if you have any queries, you can ask me. I'll be waiting for your queries. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Then I can discuss that query also. Any queries? Everyone, do you have any queries related to exam, related to preparation, anything? Can we expect complete new revision lecture into for May 2020? You want for which chapter? Complete revision lecture already. Acha, you are asking revision lectures for May 2022. Revision lecture, whatever we have done, just try to understand for last attempt that you can refer because that was totally very good, with very fine lectures. Only these are some amendment now, so that you can do by own. Already I have given amendment class, and believe me, these all amendments are actually not an amendment which will affect your preparation. Correct now, these are very few amendments. Presentation in schedule 3, these are if you are doing separately, you will be able to write in exam. Chapter number 1 is totally changed, so that you don't do from there, that you do from my recent video which I have uploaded. So whatever I have uploaded in the last attempt, that is very fine lecture. Believe me, it is very fine lecture. Many students have given a very good feedback about that chapter. If you go to that lecture, it will be super. It is my guarantee that you will be able to score very good marks with that lectures only. Correct? Expected question bank, which can, yes, I know many students are waiting for expected question bank. I am receiving, believe me, every day I am receiving call as well as message from many students. Means, believe me, I am getting such a response about expected questions, so don't worry, because expected question will take some time. Just try to understand. I can't do copy paste from last attempt. Normally I do research for that. Correct? I take some time. Means, if you want me to give the last year expected question, I can give now. But can you say I need to make a research on that? You will see that my every expected question for every attempt will be different. So normally it takes some time. It takes some time. Normally I give 2 months before. Correct. Now you need to wait for 5 or 6 days more. It will be coming soon. Coming soon. I will not give you date, because sometime what happen, if I'll give some date, you will be waiting for that on that particular date. So I'm not committing, but it will be soon available with you. That I can say. That I can say. Yes. Then Vimla, what is this? Anyone? Any more doubts you have? Anyone? Any more doubts? So can I conclude for today? Everyone, can I conclude for today? I hope whatever we have discussed, this will be helpful for you for your exam. I wish you best wishes for the preparation. Only one suggestion I will say: don't panic. Don't panic in any situation. If you are not able to understand any chapter, or if you are not able to understand any concept, leave that concept or leave that chapter for the time being. Correct now? Understood? If it is a concept or if it is a chapter related to FR, don't worry, you have my Telegram group. You can ask me. I will try my level best to clear your doubt. Understood? This much commitment I can give you all. Understood? So if that concept or chapter related to FR, so you can ask me a doubt, or you can ask the explanation for that in the Telegram group. Nothing to worry. But if any chapter, if any concept you are not able to understand right now, don't come in panic situation, because when you come to panic situation, what will happen, you will not study only, you leave it. Correct? Now it might happen, because any student, we just try to understand, we as a human being are not perfect. We can't do everything. We need to limit ourselves. Means how much we can do, that much only we can give. Correct? Now, so just try to find out what, in which area you are stronger and in which area you are weak. Correct? The area where you are weak, just try to do that much, whatever you can do it. Correct? And the area where you are strong, try to perform in a better way. Understood? So this is what the suggestion I'll give you. Once again, I am saying that this, whatever left, whatever days are left for examination, this is very important for your life. Don't come into panic situation in any circumstances. If you are demotivated, if you feel that you want someone guidance, please call me. I will try to help you. And don't worry, if you just concentrate on one formula, that no chartered and no CA in India are perfect. So you as a student can't be perfect. Only give your best, how much you can give, and then write the exam. Pakka, surely you'll pass. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll meet once again. Bye bye. Take care. Become CA as soon as possible. Love you all. Bye bye.